Yes, good morning, everyone. Any doubts on the last session, what we have discussed? Anybody would like to talk with me? You can unmute yourself and ask for the doubts. Yesterday, we talked about different options here. Today, we are going to discuss how to configure user account. After that, what is FSM environment, functional setup manager? What is implementation project? How to choose the modules for implementation? What are different offerings we have our Fusion applications? That's what we are going to discuss now. Let's log into the applications. When we are working with Fusion applications, this URL, what we are getting is different from one client to another client. Okay. So when we are working in the project, every client will be getting the different URL here and credentials. As soon as we join in the project, we get the credentials from the client. Once we get the credentials, we have to verify whether we have the access to this implementation or not here. Let's go to user menu. So once we log into the cloud environment of Fusion applications, we will find two menus here. Right side, we will find user menu. This user menu is used to access the setup and maintenance, nothing but FSM environment, functional setup manager. Maximum our work we will find here itself. Maximum we will find the functional setups here. Whatever the functional setups we are performing, that we are going to manage from here. You can also call it as an admin part. We can also call this environment as admin, setup and maintenance. Most of the work will be here only. So whenever we are working in the project, we'll be doing it from here. Functional setup manager. Another one is navigator menu. So how many menus we will find? Two menus we will find. One is user menu. Another one is navigator menu. This navigator menu is used to perform the transactions. This navigator menu is used to perform the transactions. For example, we are implementing human capital management for the client. We implemented global HR module and absence management module. Once we implement this to the client, then client employees will start using this product. It means hiring employee, transfer employee, global transfer, termination, rehiring, and reverse termination. These all day-to-day transactions they will be performing. Okay, these all day-to-day transactions they will be performing. So that's what they'll be doing it from the navigator. So navigator is for the transactions. Navigator is for the transactions and user menu is for the setup and maintenance. Okay, so let's go to navigator. In the navigator, there is a tools menu, security console is there. This is also used for the security configuration. This is also used for security configuration. Nothing but user access means user management, role management, user management as well as the role management. We are going to use it here. Go to security console. Once we go to user management and role management, then we will be able to create our own users. Go to users tab here. Let's go to users tab. Here we will be able to create a user account, modify existing account, disable the existing account, add the roles, remove the roles, we'll be able to perform everything. A role management. Here, roles tab is used to manage the roles, create roles, customize the roles. This all we'll be doing it from here. And we can find the administration part here, the role administration, API authentication, single sign-on, working with the users. So whatever the users we are creating, we can group those users under some category. We can call it as user categories. And we can apply some terms and conditions like password policy changes, notification sent, password change manual or automatic, like this type of things. And analytics is basically to analyze the users and roles information. Its management can be analyzed over here. This is about the tab which we have. This is the for security management as well as the role management. Are going to use it. Of course, it's our job as a functional consultant. Will be working in this environment. So generally, we don't give this environment access to the end users. We don't give this access to the end users. We are going to maintain as IT engineer from the HCM or finance, any background will be performing this. This is about the role environment as well as the user environment. So right now, what is our task? Configuration of user. Our task is configuration of user account. Let's go to users tab, add user account, add user account over here. So now what system is showing is here, we're trying to create an user information. Do you want to go for assign this user to the employee, or you want to just create a user account? So worker or none. Worker means employee. So we can assign this user account to the worker, or can also says that no, this is not worker, just it is an user, implementation user. That's what also we can go for specify. Active or inactive. Maybe multiple users try with the same username and password, like different levels, then it may be locked. So that time we are supposed to unlock. So generally it won't happen unless and until if we do some multiple entries from different areas or number of times password change wrong password entered. In that scenario, it's going to be locked here. So here we are going to enter the user information, and here we will go for enter corresponding roles information here. Okay. So let me enter the user details here. HCM is the first name and last name, username. Let me enter the password. Now we'll go for add roles to the user. So what is role? So role is basically access to the application. When we say Fusion Applications is one of the cloud ERP, it has got all the features related to the human capital management or finance or supply or CRM or any other domains. But when employees log in, we have to restrict an employee to perform only few transactions. For example, client says that I have 10,000 employees. Let's say there is a cashier, there is a clerk, there is a cashier, there is a clerk, there is a supervisor, there is a finance manager, there is a finance analyst. Like that, we have different levels of employees who are working with different roles in the organization. Depends on the requirement. Depends on the requirement. We are going to assign corresponding roles to those users. It is our responsibility. Once we implement the product, we are supposed to give the access to the application for our client employees. We'll discuss with the client. We'll configure those roles. Sometimes we have to customize the roles. Sometimes we have to create new roles, and then we have to go for add. At this point of time, we are talking about implementation rules. Now, I want to implement this cloud ERP to my client, right? So when we want to implement this product to the client, obviously we are supposed to add these two roles. What are those two? IT security manager, IT security manager, application implementation consultant role. Application implementation consultant. These two roles we call it as implementation roles. It is security manager, application implementation consultant. So when we are working with our cloud human capital management, every module we will find 3 to 4 roles. Global HR, there are 4 roles. Payroll module, yes, there are 4 roles. Options management, talent management, benefits module, compensation. Like that, every module there will be a 3 to 4 roles. We should be very clear about those 4 roles. We should have a clear idea what user can access if they have this access to the user, that role, and how to customize those roles, how to apply the data access for that roles. This all we call it as complete security. We call it as a HCM security. Okay. So those all we can go for implement. Those all we can go for implement. In fact, it's our responsibility as a functional consultant implementing the security in the product. Implementing the security in the product. It's a combination of roles and security profiles. It's a combination of roles and security profiles. Okay. We got a new security in the latest version of the product. We'll be talking about the versions also. Okay. So this is about the user account creation, how to create our own user account and how to add the roles to the user. Let me go for save and close. So I created user account successfully. Let's say I would like to check the account is created successfully or not. So search here. The moment when we search here, we'll be able to find this is my user account. And if I want to add the roles, we can go for add, edit, this edit, and then we can go for add new roles. If you want to remove the existing roles, you can go for remove it. There are two important checkbox, assignable, auto provisioned. Auto provisioned is nothing but the role will be automatically assigned to the user. For example, there is one default role, employee role. Now my client is telling us, customize this employee role, attach this role to all the users. The moment when you create a user account or when you hire an employee, automatically this role needs to be assigned. So in that scenario, we will go for this auto provisioned. While creating that role will enable the checkbox auto provisioned so that the role will automatically assign for the user. That's how it will work. Okay. We'll be seeing that when we are creating new roles, call it as custom roles, that time we'll discuss about these checkboxes.
Good
Okay.
morning, RTL.
This is
Hello.
about please.
Hello.
Yes, I'm able to hear you.
Yes, sir. I want to know, you have assigned two role, application implementation consultant and IT security manager, right?
Yes.
One is S enable and one is auto provisionized.
Yes.
Can you tell me what is meaning of S enable?
Assignable is something like you can assign this role to other users when you are on vacation. For example,
Oh,
this employee is on vacation. So that time the business responses, let's say one employee has applied for a leave. As you are the manager, you are not available. Someone has to take a decision on that. So this role you can assign to some other employee. So he will take a decision on behalf of the current user. Okay. So
okay,
this is what
okay, sir.
vacation rules and assignment delegations. We call
Okay,
it as role delegations. We'll see in the roles security.
okay, sir. Thank you.
So now user account has created successfully, And now I'm going to log out from the current user and log in with your new user account here. Our user is logged into the applications here. I would like to check the roles, whatever we have assigned, has applied successfully or not. Go to user menu, setup and maintenance. You can find setup and maintenance here. Go to user menu, setup and maintenance we can find. Then go to navigator. I would like to know the IT security manager. Go to tools menu here, security console. We got. It means both the roles, whatever we have added, successfully applied for the user. Successfully applied for the user. So this is how we can create our own user account and add implementation roles to our user and log into the applications and test it whether the roles are working or not. Because testing is very important. We will find different types of testing phases in the project, like unit testing, integration test, SIT, system integration test, UAT, user acceptance test, like that. We'll be talking about those different project phases: resume preparation, interview preparation, documentation preparation, templates. This all we'll be discussing in our training, end of the training. It's a part of our syllabus: resume preparation, interview preparation, documentation preparation, as well as the uh, security implementation, this and all. Okay. Right. So now we will see the FSM environment. We have discussed about security console. Now let's go to FSM. Go to user menu, setup and maintenance. In setup and maintenance, we can find what are the different offerings are available in Oracle Fusion applications. As we discussed in our previous session, Oracle Fusion applications is one of the cloud ERP. In this cloud ERP, what are the different offerings are available? We can see the list here, like cloud financials, cloud financials, cloud manufacturing, supply chain management, order management, procurement, inventory, product management means inventory, PM, project portfolio management, public sectors. This is for public sector like ports, land order, and town plannings, corporations, municipal corporations, even the public sector force, code enforcement, permits, planning and zoning, recruitment, ORC, Oracle Recruitment Cloud Environment, sales, student management. When the universities also can implement this cloud ERP product, manage their students' information, and workforce deployment, development, and compensation management. It's all three, we call it as human capital management. So when we say human capital management is a part of our cloud ERP. Fusion applications is one of the cloud ERP. In that, we have different domains like finance, CM, supply chain management, CRM, like this. This HCM, we are going to have human capital management. We are going to have different options like workforce development, workforce deployment, compensation management. Compensation management. So these three offerings we call it. So generally, when we are working with any other ERPs, if we are working with any other ERPs, we will find this following names. Every ERP will have domains. This is all we call it as a domain: finance domain, HR domain, supply domain, CRM, like that. Within this, we will find modules. Every domain will have the modules. For example, finance domain, payables module, receivables module, GL module, cash management, expense module, like that. HR module, global HR, payroll, options, talent management, OTL, compensation, benefits, like this. Okay, within the modules, we will find the menus. Within the menus, we will find the forms or pages. Nothing but a setup. That is about the ERP terminologies, other ERPs. When it comes to the Fusion ERP, just terminology will be a little bit different. Of course, we can use the same words, but officially in Fusion applications, we are going to use domains. Here we call it as offerings. We call it as offerings. Within the offerings, we are going to have features. We are going to have features. Then we are going to have task list. We are going to have task list. Then we are going to have the task here. Then we are going to have task. So these are the words. So other ERPs, we call it as domains. Here we call it as offerings. There we call it as a modules. Here we call it as features. Here we call it as menus. Here we call it as task list. Here we call it as a forms. Here we call it as a task. One task is nothing but one page, means one setup. Indirectly, we are performing one setup over here. This is about the naming conventions which we use when we are working with the cloud ERP product. Okay. So let me show you. There is an actions menu also. In the actions menu also, we can find this list of offerings which we got from Oracle Cloud ERP. Let's go to offerings. The same list, whatever we have, that we are getting it, this offerings here: compensation management, financials, desk, order management, marketing, product management, procurement. This is public sector planning, public sector business licenses, public sector code enforcement, public sector permits, risk management, sales. This one. Then where is human capital management? Student management is there, supply chain planning is there. Where is human capital management? Human capital management is a combination of three offerings. One is compensation management. One is compensation management. Second one is workforce deployment. Second is workforce deployment. Third is workforce development. Third one is workforce development. When you combine all these three, then it's going to be human capital management. Then it's going to be human capital management we are going to have. We are going to have this three. Okay. So compensation management, here compensation management, workforce deployment, workforce development, workforce development. This three we call it as human capital. So it's up to the client what they wanted to go for implement. So sometimes when you log into the applications in the project very first time, obviously you have to know what offerings your client is subscribed or enabled or planning to implement. And just we have to choose the offering. The moment when we choose the offering, it will shows that here the offering name and the status. Offering name and status we can find. Enable or disable here. I can see that. Right. Same thing development. Same thing development, it is enabled. Next one is compensation management. Now we can find over here. compensation management we can find over here. So this is about the offering status. You know the offering status over here it is. So this is about the list of offerings which we have in Cloud ERP. Now we are talking about human capital management, right? So let's click the button. Task list. Select implementation project. What is implementation project? So implementation project is nothing but a group of modules which we are implementing for our client. Group of modules which we are implementing for our client. That's what we call it as implementation project. Click on this. You can see that multiple implementation projects here. Everyone has created their own implementation projects. But when we are working in the project real time, we don't find this many implementation projects. We'll find only one implementation project that is for human capital management. One is for finance, another one is for supply, in case if there are. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to create an implementation project. So this is the base. Let's enter the implementation project name here. I'm going to mention that it's Lenovo HCM implementation project. Lenovo HCM implementation project. Let's say we would like to implement this project in another 6 months. We want to complete this project implementation. Of course, it can be changed, it can be extended, depends on the requirement. So the planning of implementing is from this date to this date, start date to finish date. That's what implementation project we are going to do it here. So click next button. So whenever we are creating an implementation project, system will ask us what modules you want to implement for your client. So generally, this is a official word is a features. What features you want to implement for your client? Generally, we also call it as modules. We also call it as modules here. So these are the different options we have. Compensation. Just now we have seen, right? Whatever the offerings we have seen that I can find here. Right? So right now I want to implement 2 modules, for example. Later we can add whatever offerings we want to implement. But at this point of time, I want to implement 2 modules. One is global HR, another one is payroll. One is global HR, another one is payroll. So these 2 modules we want to implement. So global HR is by default available. So for example, if I choose this compensation management, you can see benefits module, individual compensation, workforce compensation, total compensation state, options management. Okay, these are the modules we will find in compensation management. And what modules we will find in workforce development and deployment. In workforce deployment, we can find role module, options management. Again, it's there here. Workforce scheduling, predictions, individual compensation, same there and here, both are same. We can choose time and labor. These are from workforce deployment. How about workforce development? Workforce development, goal management, career development, which needs worker performance, talent review, succession management. These all things we call it as a talent management. It's all things we call it as talent management. It's all things we are going to call it as talent management over here. So talent management will be here it is.
Yeah, small clarification required. So in compensation, we have the options management, and in workforce deployment also we have the options module.
Yes.
So
That
both
is
are same, or is there any different?
No difference. That some clients, what happened, they'll say, I required only this offering. So Oracle is offering, when you go with this offerings, you will get this modules, these features you can implement. So it is just a group of functionality. There is no difference here. If client is going to subscribe for this compensation management, he will get options management. Even if you subscribe for workforce development, deployment also, you'll be getting like this. So that's it.
Okay, from here also we can implement these modules.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So now by default, I don't see global HR anywhere. Call it as GHR also or core HR also. So this global HR we don't find anywhere. By default, it will be included because that is the default module we have to implement for our client. Default module we have to implement for our client. Okay. So that's by default, it will be included. Right now, I want to implement global HR and payroll, right? So choose this payroll. Maybe after completion of these two modules, implementation, testing, production, now clients start using, maybe they want to go with options later, payment labor later. So initially they want to go with global HR and payroll. If we want to implement human capital management, first module, mandatory module is global HR. Without global HR, we cannot implement human capital management for our client. So that's a base because in global HR only we are going to configure our enterprise structure, means company hierarchy. Workforce structure means employee assignment hierarchy. This all we are going to have it here. 1 minute. Now we have selected global HR, then payroll. Global HR and then payroll. This we have selected. Let's go for save and open the project. Now I can see that here, this is our implementation project. Let me show you the navigation. Let me just log out from the application and log into this. Let me log out from here. And log into the applications. List. List is nothing but a menu. Select implementation project. This is what our implementation project. We can also search here. Minimum 3 letters required for searching. Click search button. Now I can select this implementation project here. This is what we are going to have workforce deployment. Workforce deployment here and workforce development we have. This is common applications configuration, common HCM, and this is payroll legislations, payroll elements, configuration of payroll balances, fast formulas. Security and extensions by default will get it here. So this is our global HR module. This is our payroll module. And this is default security reporting part we will find. Okay. So this is how we can go for create an implementation project. Once we create an implementation project, then we can start working with the setups. So there is a button here, overview button. This overview button will give the overview of your project. How many tasks we are supposed to configure to complete these two modules implementation. System is showing 559. Out of that, how many tasks you have assigned to your team member? Assignment status, resource status. Resource means employees. So far, I have not assigned this setups to any of the team members. Assignment details. So we don't find anything here because we have not assigned it. So let's say we are three members of IT team, functional consultants. We are going to implement this HCM for client modules, global HR and payroll. So project manager, what he will do, he will divide and assign the work to the three members, right? You complete enterprise structure and workforce structure. You take care of the security and implementation of the roles, and you take care of the entire hierarchies, and you can go with configuration of payroll like that, right? So that entire project information can be managed. Generally, this project information we can maintain in Excel sheet also, or in some third-party tool, some other third-party tool also. Because the end of the project, if we have completed some 500 tasks, means 500 setups we have completed. Obviously, we have to know who has completed this task, when they have completed, while doing this task, what problems they have faced, and how it has resolved. This all things can be done here. It is so. This is all we are going to find out here. Okay. So that's about an implementation project here. We can find implementation project here. We can find. Now I'm going to assign a couple of tasks to my employees. Let's say define payroll is there. Define payroll payment methods. I'm assigning one employee saying that configure the payment methods. Assign task. You can assign to multiple users also, and you can set the due date. So like this, we'll be assigning this task to the employees. Generally, manager will do this. Whoever is taking care of the entire project management, that person is going to assign the task to the users here. Assigning the task to the user. Now click on overview button. Now click overview button. I can see that there are 17 tasks has been assigned to the employees. I can see the resource status. Whom we have assigned. Eight tasks I have assigned to this user. For Mr. John 5, for Smith 4. I can see the list here, right? So this is about the task assignment for my resource in the team. And go to assignment details here. Okay. So here we can find the status assignment details status. Let's say we are going to update some of the tasks. Let's say this task is assigned for one employee. Payment methods, right? It's already assigned to Smith. So let's say he has completed the task and is going to update the status. Completed. So automatically it will be reflected in the management. Right. Let me go to elements. This also is assigned. Done button. Now overview. Go to assignment details. I would like to know what are the tasks has been completed so far. You can see the different tasks which are in different statuses. I wanted to know completed tasks. These are the tasks has been completed. So we can call this as a project management tool. As a project manager, I wanted to know how many tasks has completed by my team and what are the issues they have. Because when they says the task is completed, they can track the comments also. For example, while configuring organization payment method, they get some issue. So let's say, let's go to payment methods, organization payment method. They can go for add comment also. Notes. Completed successfully. Waiting for client source bank details. That's the note. We can find the note. So the manager will come to know obviously what is the status and he will be communicating with the client and then he'll try to get those details here, right? That's how they'll be getting complete notes here. The entire project information, setups information will be managed from this environment. So as I said, either the clients can use some Excel sheet or they can use some third-party applications. But what Oracle is telling, why you need to use some third-party application? Again, you have to enter all these setups names and everything over there. You can do everything in our environment in implementation project. So what is implementation project? Implementation project is used to maintain our implementation setups information. Whatever the modules we are implementing to the client, who are doing that, what tasks we are doing, when we are doing, what problems we have faced during this. So those all details we are going to perform here. Those all details we are going to perform here. That's what we call it as an implementation project here. Implementation project. Okay. So obviously when we are working in the project, we will be doing this implementation creation. Without implementation project also we can do it. So sometimes in the interviews they will be asking us, have you created any implementation project? Yes, I created implementation project. Through implementation project, we have done all our setups and we have maintained the complete history, notes, everything, due dates, and complete project overview. After implementing export and import this implementation information from one instance to another instance, like exporting and importing process. This all we have done through this. Can we do all these setups without creating implementation project? Yes, we can do it. No problem. We can do from here directly. So you want to configure the payroll? Let's go to your offerings, workforce deployment, to payroll, configure organization payment. Both are same, very good. But if you do it from implementation project, there will be a track. There will be a tracking over here. So we will be doing most of the times from here because the clients are interested to go with the implementing the product directly instead of going through the implementation project here. Yeah. Is clear, everybody? Any doubts you have, please?
Hi, this is Murali Krishna. I need some clarification on the tenants wise. So, Oracle Fusion will provide production, test, dev.
Yes.
This type.
Yes. You will get different URLs. Minimum 3 URLs we will find. One is development instance, another one is testing instance, another one is production instance. First, we'll be starting the project with the development instance. In the development instance, we are going to configure all our development setups. Whatever we want to do, we can do. It means we can create new objects, everything we can do and do the setups. Once everything is fine, all the setups, whatever we have done, that should be exported from our development instance to testing instance. For that, we have the export facility here, and then we have the import facility into another URL. After exporting that data either to CSV files, we can go for compare whether the setups information successfully migrated from development to testing instance or not. Okay, then after that testing, then again we will move into production. From testing to production, it's going to be moved. Okay, so in the production, client is going to work on that. So definitely Oracle will provide URLs. That's the major advantage with cloud. Everything Oracle will take care of. So we have to just raise a request. Within 24 hours, Oracle will be ready to provide with that new instance. Then we can start working on that.
Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah. So is there any time frequency if for every week it will get refreshed from dev to test, test to production,
No,
or based on our request only they will do it?
there is no question of refreshment. That will not be under the control of Oracle. So there is no question of refreshment instance once client take it as a commercial point of view. So when they take the new instance, nothing but a fresh instance. So there is no question of refreshment.
Okay, so this exporting and importing from instance to instance will taken care by our request only
Yes,
based on.
we will be doing. Yes, Oracle will just provide the instance. We have to
Okay.
go for migration.
Okay, fine. Yeah, thank you.
So guys, this is about the introduction. So in this session, what are the things we have discussed? We talked about user account, how to configure user account, what are implementation rules, how to work with implementation rules, what is FSM environment, what is security console, and how to add tasks to the users, and then update, then notes, configuration, then what are different offerings we have in human capital management. So these are the things we have discussed. This is very basic, which is required for us. Okay. So let's go through this. Tomorrow will be our last demo session. In the tomorrow session, we'll take one real-time scenario, the requirement, how the requirement comes from the client, then how we have to resolve those things. Because when you are working in the project, they'll just tell that I just want to transfer employee from this legal entity to another legal entity. Then we are supposed to take care of ourselves, what roles are required and what tasks are required, permissions. Okay, then what are the aggregate access we required, and then perform this. So these all things we are supposed to do that. Okay, so that will be that we will take care of that. We'll see tomorrow how it can be performed. Okay, we'll take one scenario, the requirement, and then we'll see what are the sequence of setups we are supposed to perform for that. After completion of setups, how to test it, that we'll discuss tomorrow. So yesterday's session, it was there in YouTube. It's already, and you can go through it. and take that URL and for reference. So this session also I'll be uploading here. Okay. So tomorrow we will go for our real-time business scenario and we'll go for implement. So that will be our last demo session tomorrow. Day after tomorrow onwards, the regular sessions will be started from Thursday. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Let's see you tomorrow.